Hi, I'm Elizabeth Smith, a knitting designer and instructor. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to measure your gauge, specifically how to identify your stitches so that you can count your stitches and your rows. The tools that you'll find helpful is a ruler or some other kind of measuring device. And I also find it helpful to have some kind of pointer as you're counting. So this is just a little double pointed needle. So something like this is perfect, or you can use like a pencil, something like that. So first, before we get started, let me just quickly mention that when it comes to swatching, you want to make a swatch larger than what the 4-inch measuring area is. So for example, if your pattern's gauge is 14 stitches equals 4 inches, that doesn't mean that when you're making your swatch that you cast on 14 stitches, because you want to be measuring 4 inches worth of fabric on the inside part of your swatch. Because as you can see in my little swatch here, the edges are going to roll a bit. And even in the round swatch like I have right here, these edges can be a bit distorted due to the technique often worked with working in the round swatch. And so when you make a swatch, you want to make sure that you've cast on enough stitches so that you can measure. So here's the 0 and here's the 4, so that you could be measuring 4 inches within the center of the swatch. And so one quick tip for that is you could take the amount of stitches your pattern says over 4 inches and multiply that by 1.5 and then just round up. So again, if your pattern had said that your stitch gauge is 14 stitches equals 4 inches, just take the number 14, multiply it by 1.5, and you get 21. So at a minimum, you should be casting on 21 stitches. I tend to then usually add at least a few more, and even more so if I'm doing an in the round swatch, because I just personally have found that my in the round swatches, the edges are even more distorted. So often I will add at least like 6 stitches to that number. So as an example, in this flat swatch here, so at a minimum, I should have cast on 21. I decided to cast on 26 stitches. And that gives me plenty of space here to measure 4 inches within the center of the swatch. So let's go ahead and actually measure our stitches here. So first, you want to place your ruler in the center of the swatch. So here's my 0 and here's my 4 inches. So I sort of want to line that up in the center area. And I want to line up this 0 on the left side of a stitch. And so what does a stitch look like? A stitch looks like the letter V. So as you can see right here, that's a V, that's a V, that's a V. So our swatch has all these columns of V's. And so I'm going to just move this a little bit just to make sure that I'm on the left side of a V. So I'm right here on the left side. Now, one question that often I get is, as you can see, here are the V's, but then right next to it, there's sort of an upside down V. And is it okay to count an upside down V versus a regular V? In my experience, and I've also tried to research this topic as well, is that as long as you stay consistent, it's okay to measure an upside down V. Because in some yarns and some fabrics, it's just easier for your eyes to see an upside down V. And if that's the case for you in a swatch, you can definitely measure the upside down V instead, but you just need to make sure that as you're measuring across, that you're only looking at the upside down V's, that you're not sort of combining an upside down V and then a regular V, because then you won't get an accurate gauge. But in this case, in this yarn, in this swatch, I can see the V's very clearly. So I'm going to be counting the V's. So now I have lined up my 0 with the left side of a V, and then I'm going to just be counting my V's till I see the 4 inches. So this is where having some kind of pointer really comes in handy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I'm right at the right edge of this stitch here. So I have exactly 14 stitches. So that's how you measure your stitch gauge. What about rows? So we're going to turn the ruler, and in this case, we're still looking for the V's, but the key is that we're looking for the base of each of the V's here. So I'm going to line this up. And so I line up my 0 with, so see, here's a V, here's a V, here's a V. So the base of, I want to line this 0 with the base of the V that's right above my first stitch that I'm going to measure. And so depending on the yarn that you're working with, so sometimes you could even just see the little hole that's right there at the base of each of the V's. Not all fabric will allow you to see that, but you basically want to just place that 0 at the base of the V up here. And so then we're going to count down. Now you can count down by placing your pointer at the base of each V, or you can sort of outline each of them, whichever is easiest. I'm going to outline. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, because that, see, the base of there is just about at the 4-inch mark. So I have 22 rows over 4 inches. So in total for this particular swatch, I have 14 stitches and 22 rows equals 4 inches. Now, in this swatch, it's very easy to see each of my stitches. Some swatches, if you're working with a highly textured yarn, or if you are knitted with a visual impairment that just makes it really difficult to see your stitches clearly, I also have a video that shows a technique that you can use for measuring gauge in those particular circumstances. So I'll make sure to put a link to that down below as well. Happy knitting!